Hey everybody, welcome back to Jeff Bull Central. We're doing a mental health discussion video for you this fine morning in late February 2024, 5/7/3069. So this is a discussion I want to have about selfishness, or rather that mental illness is often discerned to be, or is kind of understood to be a selfish disease, right? And we don't really say that about other types of diseases. We don't say that about infectious diseases. We don't say that about cancer. We don't say that about other things. And we don't really call mental disease in the same way anyway, because it's not a physical thing. It's not like a pathological thing, or pathology in the sense of a biological contaminant or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's a disease that develops in the personality, and it usually has causing factors that are environmental, in addition to being genetic a lot of the time too, which is how we can treat it with medications and things like that. But it's environmental largely, meaning that the world around you and your reactions to it over time is what helps you develop the mental illness, right? But we call it selfish because you're stuck in your own head all the time with it, and you're only ever thinking about yourself all the time with that. And that can appear narcissistic to people. Of course, narcissism is another personality disorder, clinical narcissism, but that's a diagnosable thing. That's a little bit different. That's not exactly what I'm talking about. People use the word narcissist a lot these days to describe people they don't like, for instance.
Textbook narcissism. Agreed?
For people who they've been in a relationship with, for instance, who ask for too much me time, or were legitimately narcissistic. I don't mean to diminish the effects of actual clinical narcissism, because it is kind of a nasty thing as I understand it. Narcissism in that sense is more like the need to make oneself bigger, more important, to fill the space, to fill the room, so to speak, in a way that is pathological in itself, because it fills a need, a neediness, a sense that I am diminished, a sense that I am small, so I got to be everything to everybody all the time. I got to be center of attention, right? The thing about that, though, is that that's not the kind of selfishness that comes with, say, depression. Bipolar disorder is a little bit different, because bipolar puts you on high highs and low type things. So some of the times there can be some actual kind of covert narcissism with that kind of thing. But what I'm really just talking about is the selfishness of suffering. The selfishness of suffering. So that if you have severe mental illness, and you are in a bout of it, and you are really down, or you are really out of it. I am schizoaffective. I have schizoaffective disorder, which is schizophrenia paired with bipolar component, which is that's my case. The thing about that is that if I'm, for instance, having some kind of delusional or even hallucinatory state, my world is honed in on that. And how strange and awful and kind of all-consuming that is. And so there's a narcissism or a selfishness, but there is a narcissism with that too, because I feel like I'm gonna blink out of existence unless I get someone's attention here. It's like, I'm screaming on the inside, so sometimes I have to scream on the outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to let people know, and I have to have a control of a situation, or I have to have all the consideration in a situation. And you see how that's just a selfish thing. Even if it weren't termed selfishness in the traditional sense, you'd still be thinking more about yourself than other people. And I've said this before, at least one time in one of these videos. The silver bullet, the one silver bullet I've ever found for selfish, and by the way, I consider myself a kind of a selfish guy myself. So I just said self 3 times. Twice at least. When I was younger, for instance, when I was a teenager, I was all about me. And even as I've gotten older and I've developed all these mental ticks, I still kind of tend to hone in on me. But the silver bullet for all of that really is considering others, like putting your focus keenly on others. Yeah, we call it charity. In one sense, it's the act of willing the good of the other for the sake of the other, right? It's the act of putting one's friends or family or your spouse, if you're married, putting them first. Not to the extent that you disappear entirely, not to the extent that you're completely diminished and you have no agency anymore. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about subservience. In fact, I'm talking about there's a lot of power in this philosophy. Trust me, when you're feeling down next time, and I mean really, really low, or you're having a bipolar moment, a lot of my viewers here are schizoaffective like I am. When you're having some weird symptoms and stuff like that, focus on the needs of someone else real quick, and you'll just see like a needle flip to the other side. I'm not saying that the symptoms will go away. I'm saying that you'll experience immediate relief, and you get to work out your empathy muscles, which are good to have. Life is a humbling experience. At least it has been for me much of the time. And I can only congratulate myself for having allowed myself to be humbled in those ways, because believing yourself to be better than, believing yourself to have the right to judge unconditionally, believing that you have all the right answers, this is a chronic condition pertaining to the young. Wink. This is a chronic condition pertaining to a lot of people, especially in today's society, because again, another mode of selfishness is self-preservation. And there's a lot of triggering happening. There's a lot of triggering thing. I live in the United States. I live in Colorado, okay? And the tension here in America is très high right now. Chef's kiss high right now. And the thing about that is so people are a little bit selfish out there, you know? They just are. Because they're in self-preservation mode. And there's not anything inherently wrong with that if it's not gotten too far out of hand. But the way to combat all of that, focus on other people real quick, man. Focus on their needs. Focus on their needs. And I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying it's been easy for me to try to begin to attempt to learn this sort of thing, because it hasn't been. Like I said, I was a pretty selfish kid growing up, and I've been a very selfish dude in my adulthood, here and there, sometimes way worse than others. I don't have a authority. I don't have a pulpit to pound my fist on here. That is worth a damn. But I do think that for the vast majority of people out there, you, for instance, if you could just like get out of your comfort zone with yourself there, especially if you suffer from mental illness, I guarantee you that there's more selfishness happening in your behavior, even if it's not present in your mental space. I understand that too. I don't feel like I'm being selfish sometimes when I totally am. And it's because I think I'm probably in that more self-preservational state. I feel like I'm protecting, whereas it looks like I'm just being straight up narcissistic, right? So that's the difference. Go ahead and see what other people need. Yeah. Like I said, it's not a cure-all. I use the term magic bullet, which I have no knowledge of a single thing in this universe that is a magic bullet per se for every type of mental illness. If I knew that, I wouldn't be suffering myself every day. But gosh, this is the thing that's helped me. and don't discount the fact that it'll raise your mana. You'll level up, and you'll get the ability to unlock that new suit of armor that you bought from the merchant down the road at the inn. I don't know what I'm talking about. Hey everybody, like and subscribe to the channel if you like this video, this chat on mental health. I also do video game videos, and I also make music and some other stuff occasionally. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're doing exceedingly well. We're almost to March. Thank goodness. I do loves me some summer over whatever the heck that business is out there. Bye-bye.